Snyder alongside my co-partners Gavin Moritz and Trevor Bullard, and we welcome you to the 2020 17 6A football preview show. Today we'll be joined by Texan live announcer Dave Fanucci. Dave, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Thanks for joining. Today we'll start off with the Stratford Spartans.
For the ball, step toe, up the middle, across midfield, and brought down by Goodwin.
Spartans. Abbott throws down the middle, hits his man from the 50. In formation. Abbott has it. He's having to scramble. Pressure's coming on. He's going over to the left side. He's got the first down. It's going to be a track meet right there. He's still in bounds. He broke one tackle, two. He's very close, and they finally knock him out.
Shoemake airs it out. Pass is going to be hauled in down to the 45-yard line. Receiver up top to the right.
Abbott calls for the ball, gives this one to step toe, up the middle and out.
Side right. Win set formation. It's going to be a halfback pass.
Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Stratford?
Well, the Stratford Spartans in 2019 went 4-6 overall, 3-5 in district play with a fifth-place finish in the district last year and missed the playoffs.
Trevor, I'll start with you. What did you see from Stratford last season?
Well, you know, they, against the, I guess you could call them bottom feeders, the Springwoods and Northbrooks of the district, they did well against them, but the tougher competition, whether that be Cy Creek and Cy Fair, they really struggled. Now, they're not going to have to play Cy Falls anymore as they're moving to 16 6A. So they can do better, but it's going to be tough because the top half of this district is very talented.
Dave, our guest, what do you think?
You know, historically, Stratford has always been a kind of a middle-of-the-road playoff contending team that on a good year will make the postseason and on a down year will just miss it. In the Spring Branch ISD group, along with Memorial and Northbrook and Spring Woods, they're in the upper echelon of that group. But since they've been mixed in with the half of Cy-Fair ISD, it's been a tough road for them to get into the postseason. Last year at 4-6, they were middle of the road. I kind of expect them to be a little bit better this year and have a chance in 17 6A to reach the top four and get into the postseason. It's going to be an interesting mix. They've got Dylan Shoemake and AJ Abbott, two quarterbacks that they run out there that depending on how things shake out and what happens with the team, they've got two quarterback options there to keep an eye on. So they'll be right in the mix in 17 6A. And like I said, I think they can compete with, if their talent and their players come together well, and they've got a couple of specialty guys, they can hang with the Cy Creeks and the Jersey Villages of the world. But to go against Cy-Fair, that's a tough ask. So they're going to be right on the edge of trying to get into the postseason.
Trevor, you had a chance to discuss with Stratford head coach Todd Rankin about those quarterbacks like Dave Fanucci was talking about.
I did, and, he's liking what he's seen from both of them so far, and they're doing a great job with strength and conditioning the past week, and he's just excited to get back out there.
Let's take a look at that interview.
And we are here with head coach of the Stratford Spartans, Todd Rankin. And, Coach, how have summer workouts been going?
I tell you what, it's been really, really going well. We delayed a couple days, and we started on June 10th just to get in all the safety equipment, just the wipes, hand sanitizer, stuff like that. So the first 2 days, of course, were kind of like orientation. But just to be around those kids last week was exciting for not only us, excited for all the coaches and just everyone involved. And of course, when the UIL gave us the green light, so much planning and effort went into it. It was truly something special to get together with the kids and to be able to put it all together. And so it's been fun, and our numbers have been just, I'm sure a lot of parents are ready to get their kids out of the house, stuff like that, but our numbers have been really, really awesome. And so we've really been excited about the turnout from 7th grade all the way through seniors of how many kids are coming to camp right now.
So the district basically stayed the same from last year, except, losing Cy Falls. So what do you think your team needs to do? Last year was a little bit of a down year for y'all to get back into the upper level of the district.
Oh, absolutely. And we really felt like in this past offseason, we're kind of putting those pieces of the puzzle together of really establishing our core blue-collar work ethic in the weight room and in our offseason. We really felt like that was kind of coming together for us this year, of course, and then the pandemic hit. But no, I think the kids, again, and now starting our third year, first year I really came in the last week of May, and so we didn't have much of an offseason. But I think in this year, all the players now are really getting ingrained in our offense. They're getting ingrained with our defense and just our coaches and our, our styles and our philosophies on things. So we kind of felt like this was just really staying on track with the good things that we're doing and to keep pushing the envelope, trying to get tougher, more teamwork, more bonding in the offseason. All that stuff we felt like was kind of the master plan. It was really coming together for us. And really we thought it went pretty well during the pandemic, from Zoom meetings and position meetings and the things that we were trying to carry on. I think most of our kids did what they could with what equipment was available, stuff like that. But no, certainly this is a very pivotal year for us to come through. And, and we're challenging the kids right now with, the UILs now letting us have up to 60 minutes of skill, for football each day, but challenging them, what we missed during spring football, we're now trying to get that in from installation to technique, drills, everything we can, so that we can kind of carry on our goals and everything we were aiming for this offseason to kind of get right back on track with that here this summer.
All right. And last question, what is the game you have circled on your calendar for this upcoming season?
Well, it's no doubt. It's, of course, always the Memorial game for us. That's a tremendous, great rivalry here. The kids grow up together. They know each other. It's a friendly rivalry, but it's a really, really important game. And, of course, for us, Memorial was able to get in the playoffs last year, and that's something we're aiming for. We were 5th in the 9-team district last year, but we really think that the playoffs is within reach for us. But that's going to be one of that's certainly one of the games that we know we've got to find a way to get on top of that and start winning that game and of course, get us into the playoffs. That's our goals.
All right, Coach. Well, best of luck this season, and thanks for coming on.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you.
That brings us to the top of this district, the Cy-Fair Bobcats. Let's take a look at their highlights from last season.
Fight as well. Cravens rolls out, looking, firing it over the middle. Caught. Davidson. See you later. He will score. Touchdown, Cy-Fair. A man in motion. Hand off to Johnson. No, it's a play action bootleg. Throws it up. He's got a man open. Caught. And that's a touchdown. Chase Davidson.
Might need a little bit of developing on the defenses of the scene. Cravens in the shotgun, hands off to Johnson, and Johnson is on a foot race, and he is not going to be caught. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown Bobcats.
LJ Johnson.
Yep.
And up the middle, and galloping past the 40. He's got one man chasing him, and he will be gone for halftime. Weaver rolls out, pressure coming. Oh, there's a fumble, and it's picked up. Touchdown, Cy-Fair.
All night, working these quick screens here. The route is jumped, finding his way into the end zone is Nick Crest. Touchdown, Bobcats. Carter Cravens from the shotgun has LJ to his left, fakes the give, now pulls up the pass, finds trying, still on his feet, inside the 10, 5, breaking tackles, and Carter Cravens from the shotgun has LJ trying to pick up where they left off. Cravens under center, hands this one off to Johnson. Johnson breaks the tackle. Out across the 30 he goes, out across the 40, across midfield. It's a foot race inside the 30, the 20, the 10, 5, touchdown! LJ Johnson, 90 yards, taking it to the house.
3 men moving. going to be a pitch to the Davidson. Davidson will outrun everyone. His second touchdown of the night, this time from 37 yards out.
And as Weston mounts, handoff Johnson, and he breaks free, and he could go. Dawson is the last one to try to get him. He won't get there. Touchdown!
LJ Johnson, LJ Johnson, LJ Johnson.
I was going to joke. That the Cy-Fair highlights were just straight up LJ Johnson highlights. We tried our best to get more. He is a very special talent. Gavin, tell us a little bit more about Cy-Fair that is just beyond LJ Johnson. They're a really good ball club.
Last year they went 11-1 overall, 8-0 in district play. They won the district title, and then they made it to the second round where they ultimately lost to Katy.
Dave, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Cy-Fair?
Wow, guys. I mean, this team has a chance to really be special this year. It was a tough draw last year when they went unbeaten but drew Katy in the second round. But this year they've got a lot coming back, and this team can go really deep, really far. I think they're the unprecedented, easy favorites in 17-6A. There's not going to be anybody that's going to challenge them for the district title. I think in 17-6A, it's Cy-Fair, and then there's everybody else. Everybody else will be trying, 3 spots for the playoffs between everybody else. Cy-Fair will win the district, hands down. They've got so much talent coming back. Starts with quarterback Carter Cravens. We've talked LJ Johnson, who might be the best running back in the greater Houston metro area, right along with maybe the state. There's a lot of people talking about him being one of the best in the state of Texas. That's a hands down. Just give him the title right there as far as the best running back in the city of Houston. The tight end, Jack Whitmer, is a weapon that Cravens can throw to. They've got a good defense, starting with a couple of DBs returning, Nick Crest and Thatcher Milton, that were all district players last year. They've got a linebacker who's only a junior, Hunter Warren, that's going to anchor the defense. So these guys on both sides of the ball are fantastic. They've got the brand new head coach, Jeff Miller, the former quarterback at Cy-Fair, who won a state title at Rockdale, who came over and took over this year for a longtime head coach and the greater Houston metro area Hall of Famer, Ed Pajowski, who just retired. So Jeff Miller is got a roster that is just absolutely loaded, and this team can go very deep.
Trevor, hard to disagree with any of that.
No, I think Dave just said it all. And like he said, Coach Miller won a championship at Rockdale, so he does have that championship experience. And, I mean, when you have a running back that has over 40 offers to basically any big-name school.
We're talking about one of the best, potentially the best running back, forget Texas, the entire country.
I mean, he's in that top 10 players in the nation. I believe I saw on a top 10 list. I mean, I covered 3 Cy-Fair games last year. One of the games he only had 14 carries, over 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, and he was done by halftime. I mean, it helps when you have a good O-line that can open up huge holes. But
he does have a great offensive line.
But as we saw from some of those highlights, I mean, LJ Johnson, he takes it, 40, 50 yards every time he touches the ball.
You were spoiled. You got a lot of good LJ Johnson highlights.
At least 15 or so touchdowns in there. But Cy-Fair is going to be good, and I think, especially talking with Coach Miller, this is his dream job. It's the only job he said he would leave Rockdale for, and I think the interview will show what he's all about for football. We're here with the new head coach of the Cy-Fair Bobcats, Jeff Miller. And Coach, how's strength and conditioning been going this last week?
It's actually gone really well. We've had great attendance. A little over 400 kids a day are coming up between strength and conditioning and the SSI portion. Very pleased so far with our first 6 days.
All right. Well, as our audience is going to know, you're the brand new coach, but you're pretty familiar with Cy-Fair. Quarterback in the 1980s, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it was 85. Y'all made the semifinals against Odessa Permian.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
All right. So, how does it feel to be back home?
Well, it's every day is is something new for me. I'm getting to see new people and meet people again. See people again. I guess that I hadn't seen in so many years. But there was certainly a lot of familiarity walking down the halls every day. I've actually been on campus now, I guess, since last Monday. But it's this is something. This place has always been really special to me. Obviously, I haven't had much affiliation with it. As far as being back to ball games and such since I left in '86, but obviously been a huge fan of Cy-Fair over the years, and my dad retired from here in the early 2000s as a principal up here, and so this place always had a special place in my heart, and it really, I had a great job in Rockdale. We had been there for 14 years, and we had a bunch of success and a lot of fun. I wouldn't have left that place for just anywhere. It was going to take something really special. And when this opportunity came up, just to be able to come back to a place that I can call home, or I do call home, and I certainly know the meaning of BFND and what it stands for, and I mean deep down what it stands for. And so really, it's really special to be back quote home.
All right, well, looking at some of your returning players, you have your quarterback, Carter Cravens. He's coming back. And then, obviously, one of the best running backs in the state, that being LJ Johnson. What have you seen from him so far during the workouts?
Well, with both of those kiddos, what I see immediately is the leadership out of Carter and LJ. Carter, you can tell when he walks out on the field, I mean, he's in charge of it. He is soft-spoken, but he is the leader out there. And then, of course, LJ and Carter both, man, they lead by example. They're both extremely hard workers. Try to do everything the right way the first time. That you don't have to correct these kids. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're passionate about it, and again, just great teammates. But when you ask about LJ, obviously he is a special talent. There's very few young men that that have the ability that he has, but you can tell also that just my short period of time I've been with him, you can tell that obviously he has some God-given talent, but he's done a great job of working and fine-tuning that, and that's what makes him so damn special.
All right, and are y'all going to change really anything? I mean, Cy-Fair's been doing basically the same offense, running the ball and then playing great defense. But is there anything you want to really implement for the season?
Well, I think gradually you'll see some wrinkles that won't be. It'll be a little uncharacteristic of what Cy-Fair's done in the past. But really, without being able to have spring ball this year and incorporate a whole lot of new offense, I think it would be kind of foolish to really try to make a major overhaul, especially when you got to have several parts obviously to run the offense that they've been running. One of them is you have to have a great tight end, which there is one here. You have to have a great fullback, which there is, and then obviously the great tailback. So to come in and remove any of those people from the game very often would be pretty dumb on my part. But I think, especially when you have somebody like Carter back there, and boy, there's a host of receivers that can really go, really fun to watch, really talented group of kiddos out there. I would try to diversify the offense just a little bit, but without really, messing with the integrity of what has made Cy-Fair football so good over the course of the last several years. And then, defensively, Coach Legg is, he's been here a long time, and he's one of the best in the business. There's no arguing about that. Everybody knows what Robbie Legg brings to a staff and how good his defenses play. And so that is his. And I would be really silly of me to go over there and interfere at all with what he has been doing. And so really, you will see some subtle changes, but nothing wholesale.
All right, and final question: what are you expecting football to look like come September?
And what am I expecting and what I hope? Obviously I have the same hopes that the rest of us coaches have. I mean, that we get out there on August 3rd get rolling and nothing be different. I don't know that that's really a reality right now. I think that's still hopefully the direction that we're heading, and hopefully where the UIL is thinking that we can go. But the next 3 or 4 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks probably are really crucial. And are we going to be able to get a handle on this? And but obviously the safety and health of everyone, of our students, our coaches, and our community is first and foremost, of course. And so I really don't know what to expect. I certainly know that I've had so much fun watching these kiddos the last 6 days of summer workout that I think that it's a pretty special group, and I really want to be able to watch them between the lines in the fall. That's certainly something that's got all of us. There's a buzz around here right now it's pretty loud, and we want to be able to continue that. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed that things go in the right direction and we're able to do that.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for coming on, and best of luck this season.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Next up, we have the Jersey Village Falcons. Let's take a look at their highlights from the 2019 season.
Weaver takes it, hands it off, acts like it's a fake, and he hands it off, and it's a run race. Oh, there is going to be no way to stop him. Touchdown, Falcons. 3 wide outs near side, 1 far. Cade throws it right down the middle, and it's caught. Touchdown, Falcons.
Guzman has 2 touchdowns this season. Look at this quick throw to Guzman. Guzman breaks 3 tackles. Guzman's gonna score. Oh, you bring him in for touchdowns apparently. Mario.
Working his way down the sideline for the touchdown. And Evans turns a quick little hitch route. Into 6. Into 6. 10-5, touchdown, Falcon. Weaver takes a snap. He's going to fake it. He's looking down the middle. He's got a receiver wide open. That is Burrell. Burrell trying to score. He's at the 50.
Now toward the left. Weaver has it, looks over to the far side, throws down the middle, caught! It's going to be a racing and a block. Touchdown, Falcons!
White showing blitz, here he comes. Weaver, waiting, firing, has a man, it's Smotek, it's a touchdown! A blitz beater from Weaver! He wants to throw here on 2nd down, he steps up in the pocket, fires, a little floater, caught! Touchdown! Jersey Village.
Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Jersey Village?
Jersey Village, more or less the same as we talked about Stratford having the 4-6 overall record, 3-5 in district play, except Jersey Village actually finished 7th place in the district last year, missed the postseason.
Trevor, your thoughts? We'll start with you on Jersey Village.
Well, last year they kind of took a step back because the year before they went 10-2 when it was the all Cy-Fair district. Actually won the district over Cy-Fair, which surprised a lot of people, and then they lost a lot of talent, so they took a step back. They do have a really good quarterback, Caleb Weaver, 19 touchdowns, 4 interceptions last year. The defense just kind of let them down in certain situations. So if Coach Snowcows can improve that and Weaver can take another step forward, because he's still got another year, Jersey Village can make a push into the playoffs.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I think they'll be right in the mix. Like with with the other 3 or 4 teams that we're talking about here in the district that could get to the postseason. I do believe they'll have a chance for an uptick coming off of last year at being 4-6. So if Coach Snodgrass can get things together, and like I said, like they said, it was Caleb Weaver can throw the ball to a standout wide receiver, Mike Evans. Jersey Village can be right there. They're like, they're going to be just kind of right around the same talent level as a Stratford and a Cy Ridge. That's going to be battling for one of the 3 other playoff spots that's available in 17-6A. And they do have 18 returning starters. So this is a team that was coming that's got some experience from last year going 4-6, and they're going to be a little bit better.
I had a chance to discuss that with David Fanucchi, trying to get back to the playoffs like he did in 2018. Let's take a look at that interview. We now welcome on Jersey Village head coach David Fanucchi. And Coach Fanucchi, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
First question, and we've asked every single coach so far, how have you guys handled the coronavirus?
Oh, we're doing on the philosophy of we're going to crawl before we walk. We're basically been out. We started last week. We've gone about an hour a day. We're staying outside, doing all of our stuff outside, and then starting this upcoming Monday, we're going to go back in the weight room and hopefully slowly but surely get back into that. So, our philosophy was, we didn't think we were going to get back in until after the 4th of July, and we got an extra month, and we're just trying to be smart and safe about it right now. Our kids have done a great job with it. So we're happy.
Let's start out with your quarterback. Caleb Weaver had 19 touchdown passes last season and 4 interceptions and is entering his senior season. What have you seen from him developmental-wise?
Well, I think, number one, he's a lot more mature. I mean, Caleb's a good athlete. There's a kid that loves the game of football. It's Caleb Weaver. I mean, he lives it, sleeps it, eats it, drinks it, whatever you got to do. I mean, he is totally committed to football, and he loves the game. He's a good athlete. Like I said, he's a lot more mature, more he's been from a year ago. And, that year of experience of going from the transition of being a DB to being a full-time quarterback, he's made good progress on it.
And I'm going to ask you, who else are you excited about coming back for you this upcoming season, and who are you expecting them to step up?
We started a lot of young kids. I think, I don't know, we got anywhere from 16 to 18 kids back that have played. So, Mike Evans, 6'6", 210-pound receivers back. It'll be his third year. Donnell Burrell, another receiver's back. It'll be his third year to start. We've got 2 running backs back that, Xavier Joyce, who can actually, he can go. I mean, he was a sophomore last year, came on real strong at the end of the year. So 4 of the 5 offensive linemen are back, so we're excited about that. Our slot receiver, Quincy Jones, is back. Defensively, we've got a lot of kids back there. Had a couple of 2 starters that missed the whole year last year, so got a 280-pound defensive tackle back and another defensive end back. So hopefully, with all those kids back, we've got a chance to, be very competitive.
You guys had an impressive season and made it to the playoffs in 2018, going 10-2. You barely missed last season. What do you guys need to do in order to get back to 2018 form?
Oh, I think number one, like I said, we played a lot of young kids last year. Now having these the experience back, we were having a great offseason, probably as good as we've had in a long time until all this stuff hit. And, I think our kids are excited. I think the maturity rate of them is a lot better than what it was a year ago. I mean, in 2018, we were blessed with a bunch of kids that have started for a couple of years. We're sort of in the same scenario we were then. The quarterback we had back in 2018 was pretty darn good, and Raymond Richardson, a heck of an athlete. And I think we'll be better defensively than we were in 18. So it's a combination of things, the maturity level, the experience, and just overall, we think we're just a lot better athletes than what we've been.
What was your reaction when you saw this new district?
Well, I mean, anytime you lose a team of the caliber of Cy Falls, that's just one less game you got to worry about winning in there. I'm not going to lie, we've been used to that type of competition, but it's sort of expected from what we were hearing. Coach Cepeda did a great job of informing us or keeping us informed and what he thought and all that. They say it was between Cy Fair Cy Falls, and we all sort of figured it would end up being Cy Falls. But still, that again, we still have to go out and play because you got from top to bottom, you got the 4 Cy-Fair districts, and then obviously Stratford and Memorial are right there in it too. So, it's just one less team you got to worry about.
Last question.
Extra preseason game is a big plus too. Because there's a lot of things you can work on and do. And obviously, you got a mindset of what you're going to do and how you're going to do things. But there's some things that you got. An extra game gives you an extra 48 minutes to try something different. So we're excited about it.
We're excited to watch it ourselves. Last question for you. We've asked every single coach. What do you expect football to look like in this 2020 season?
Oh, that's a good question. I hope it's back to normal. Number one, I hope we get to play the game.
Right.
That's are there going to be some changes? I'm sure yes. I think it's going to come from a fan standpoint. And a lot of it's going to be predicated on what happens the next 2 months. There's, before we got on, the governor was speaking, and you hear this, you hear that. It's back and forth, up and down, and all this. So we just got to be smart, be safe, and that's our approach right now. Hopefully, we'll be back to doing what we love to do, and that's play Texas high school football.
We are hopeful ourselves. And, Coach, I just want to thank you again for your time, and good luck this upcoming season.
Appreciate it, Bert. Thank you.
That brings us now to the Springwoods Tigers. Let's take a look at their highlights from the previous season.
Moving for the Tigers. Now coming out here to the right, Jose Now McKnight's under center again. They're expecting a quarterback sneak. McKnight does give the quarterback sneak.
Jade Sequeira, the return man for Cy Ridge, stands at his 35, awaits the kick from Rivera. He fields it at the 30, touches it and loses it, and it's picked up by number 21. And McKnight is keeping himself, and they'll push him forward. And
Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Springwoods?
A bit of a tough year for Springwoods last year. They went 1-9 overall, 1-7 in district play, an 8th place finish, and they missed the postseason.
Dave, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Springwoods?
Well, guys, in Spring Branch ISD, we talk about Stratford and Memorial, and then you talk about Northbrook and Springwoods. They're both in a really tough area to draw talent from. And Springwoods has had their struggles over the years. Have a basketball team that can compete. They play a little bit in baseball, but football has really been a struggle for them. And you talk about head coach Keith Cribbs and what he's been able to do. It's just a really tough situation for them. Their only win again last year was beating Northbrook in their district, but they just don't have the numbers and the players experience that draw and live near the Springwoods High School to compete, especially in 6A. They haven't been to the postseason, guys, since 1997. So this is a school historically that goes back a ways. But in today's day and age, they, like I said, just don't have the experience and the numbers. It's just a really tough situation for Coach Cribbs there. They run the win T, which is fun to watch. But like I said, they're not a playoff contender for one of the 3 remaining spots in the district.
Trevor, your thoughts?
Well, Dave just kind of all laid it out there. And, when you don't make the playoffs since 1997, that's 23 years this year. And, them in North...
Almost older than you.
Almost 1 year. 1 year off. But, them in Northbrook is just such a hard... When you don't have the talent, it's just really hard. Now, I did get to talk with Coach Cribbs, and he's liking what he's seen from his team so far. They are going to have their leading rusher return, but it's just hard when you don't have the talent, and especially when you're running a wing tee, you have to have all the pieces. I mean, if you can run the wing tee perfectly, think of like a Liberty Hill.
Right.
You can beat almost anybody, but just you have to have the right pieces there. And like Dave said, I don't know if Springwoods they just never historically had it, and maybe they can get a win or two, but it's going to be really tough.
Let's take a look at your interview with Coach Keith Cripps.
And we are here with head coach of the Springwoods Tigers, Keith Cripps. And Coach, how have you been dealing with the coronavirus?
Well, we've been having a lot of meetings to get set up for the strength and conditioning camp, and so we got that done. We started last week with the strength camp, which was last Wednesday and Thursday, and so we're moving forward with that and getting good numbers up here, and so we're looking forward to a good summer.
All right. Well, looking at y'all's schedule last year, going 1-7 in district, and you do looking at your returning players, do you think Andrew Trevino is going to be your best returning offensive player?
He's one of our go-to guys for sure. He had a real good season as a running back. We split him out some. We're going to split him out more this next year, and we're looking forward to a big season for him. He's been in our strength and conditioning camp. He's excited about his senior year, and he would definitely be one of our go-to guys offensively.
All right. Now, what do you think, what would be your number one thing to get back into the playoff? It's been a while since Springwoods has been there.
Yeah, well, I'll say this. We got a really good senior class. I think we have 29 or 30 seniors this incoming this next year. And so really some good talent, more skilled kids than we do as far as lineman type kids. And so we'll play some on both sides of the ball. But, the big thing, we can't control anyone else but ourselves. The big thing is, getting these kids up here this summer. They're excited about being in the summer, being gone for so long. Through the spring, we didn't have spring football, and the kids look forward to that. And so just getting better each day. We've changed some things offensively that we believe that can help us. And so focus on what we do and get better. And, the playoffs take care of itself. If we're one of the top 4 that goes to the playoffs, great. But that's what we're going to strive for, is get better each day.
All right, and final question. How do you think football will look for the 2020 season?
We're planning on it looking the same. We think that, we're treating it like we're going to be playing in the fall, just like normal. I can't answer. Obviously, no one has the answers, but maybe a few less people in the stands. I don't know, but we plan on it being the same, and that's how we're treating it, and until someone tells us differently. So that's how we're planning on going about it.
Do you think it'll be, you said maybe less fans, so maybe 50% capacity?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't know what the numbers are, but yeah, I would say, I guess, yeah. So.
All right, Coach. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
That now brings us to the Cy Ridge Rams. Let's take a look at their highlights from the 2019 season.
On 2nd and 10, it's a handoff left. Getting up the sideline, first down and plenty more. Cutting it back inside, breaking tackles. He is gone. 93-yard touchdown, Cy Ridge. Daniel Thompson. Madden stepping up and will run. Into the open field, look at Jaden Madden with a stiff arm and a touchdown. On 4th down and 15, Jaden Madden takes it 36 yards.
And here is the give to number 24. Outside he goes to the end zone. He will race.
Up by Galea, he's not going to miss. He fumbles the football. It's picked up by Cy Ridge, and they're going to get a free 2 points. Cade Barnes running all the way to Yale. It's a kick 2. If you need him.
2nd and 3 for the Rams. This time, the give is to Fletcher, and he's down the sidelines across midfield, and he will outrun everybody. 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown.
No gain there. 2nd down and 10.
Ridge the shotgun 2x2. Austin wants to throw. He puts it up in the air. Nice throw. What a catch. Over the shoulder. Into the end zone. And that football is lined up at the 40. Doing the kicking. Number 88, Christian Galeas. It's in the air. It'll land at the 18th field on the hop at the 15, 20. There's a crack. 30, 35. What a move. He shook the kicker, and he might score. 40, 30, 20, 10. Touchdown, Cy Ridge.
Coach is going to hand it off. Be a stiff arm there, and some daylight out there for the running back who's running. It looks to be Benjamin. He's running. Let's see if he's got enough gas to beat the defender. He's got one man to beat. Cuts back inside and into the end zone on a 9.
From the 30-yard line. 12 minutes on the clock. First play of the drive, the outside zone run. And making his way around the edge, keeping his feet, accelerating down the sideline.
Ross right of Wilson. Wilson will keep it. He drops the ball as he's hit in the backfield. Picked up by Zarate. He's headed to the end zone. Touchdown, Cy Ridge.
Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Cy Ridge?
Well, last year the Rams of Cy Ridge were right there in the middle of that district. They went 5-5 overall, 3-5 in district competitions, 6th place finish, and they missed the postseason.
Dave, I'll start with you. What do you think of Cy Ridge?
So Cy Ridge coming off a 5-5 year overall, 3-5, missed the playoffs in district. They're going to be one of the other 4 teams fighting for the postseason in the mix. It's just going to be a very tight circumstances for those other 3 playoff spots, what we've been talking about here. Between, in my estimation, Jersey Village, Cy Creek, we haven't talked about yet, Ridge, Stratford, and Memorial. So those teams are all sort of, depending on how it shakes out, all those games amongst each other are going to be important to try to get one of those postseason. I don't know much about Cy Ridge. I do know that they'll have Justin Austin, a wide receiver, coming over to play quarterback. That's according to Adam Coleman, who I talked to recently. Adam Coleman, a reporter for the Houston Chronicle, who we all know, covers high school football in the area, great contributor to Texan Live information. But he's saying that Justin Austin's going to come over and play quarterback for them. He played wide receiver last year. So we'll see how Cy Ridge does. They typically have some talent, individual players that shine for the Rams sometimes, but a lot of times when they just don't have enough of those guys to put together a team that could advance far in the postseason.
Trevor, what do you think?
Well, like Dave said, they're going to be in that mix. I mean, they finished right there, just, one. I mean, there was a 3-way tie for that last spot. They're not going to have to, no one's going to have to deal with Cy Falls anymore, so that knocks out a tough district opponent. But they're going to be competing. Those 2, 3, and 4 spots are going to be tough. I mean, you could flip a coin. It's anyone's. You could throw in any team really in there, and Cy Ridge, they'll be in the mix, but it'll be tough, and we'll just have to see how it shakes out with them.
Let's now go to the Northbrook Raiders. Let's take a look at their highlights for 2019.
On the run, Jalen Cox taking it, and that is a great run right there.
Cox rolling. Looking for a place to run. Cannot find it. Reverses field. Across the 50, 45, 40, 30, 20, 10. Jalen Cox. Touchdown. And that fumble return now turns into dividends for the Raiders as they finally.
Play action. Throwing it deep. Oh, it's caught. Sidesteps a man. Holy cow. Wow.
Shot across the middle, 40, and taken back down to Sherrill. But Sherrill, another 10-yard.
Low snap. Phillips has to turn around and pick it up. He's airing it out deep down this sideline. It is intercepted. Picked off at the 3-yard line by
So there's 3 wide receivers to the top of the screen. Coming up for that. Oh, just evading the sack is Cox, but he's brought down.
Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Northbrook?
Well, Northbrook last year, they finished last place in the district, missed the playoffs with an 0-10 overall record and 0-8 in district play.
Trevor, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Northbrook? This is a program that has historically struggled trying to get something going.
Well, Chase, they've never made the playoffs in school history, if you can believe that. Their last winning season was 1994, so older than everyone sitting at this table. And I got to cover one game. They played Cy Falls, and unfortunately for them, the two teams were in completely different stratospheres, talent level. Obviously, having a talent pool that's not super deep, it's hard to get kids to come out. And Northbrook, I hate to say it, but I think everyone agrees they're going to be down there near the bottom. I mean, they haven't had a win since 2017.
Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, Northbrook, guys, is that school in this district here, similar to Springwoods. They're not going to advance much. They're building a foundation right now. So they just hired a brand new head coach, Andres Gomez, that's going to come over and be their brand new head coach. A tough job, one of the toughest high school football head coaching jobs in the city of Houston, in my estimation. He was an assistant at Klein Cain, and Andres has come over to take over at Northbrook now. So he basically this year is just going to start building the first layer of the bricks to rebuild a program. I mean, it's just see what you have, start putting in your system and his coaching philosophy, that they're going to just go out there, compete with what they have, and start building according to whatever Coach Gomez wants to do there. And he's got to build up from the ground up. He has nothing to work with, and he's got to see what he has when the players come out and go from there. But they're not going to win any games, and hopefully they'll be able to compete and not get a lot of kids injured, and maybe hang and learn the game with the players they have this season.
And Gavin, you had a chance to catch up with new head coach Andres Gomez. What did you see from him?
Well, like Dave said, he's coming over from Klein Cain. He's coming over from Coach Clancy's program, and he learned a lot in those first 2 years. Klein Cain actually made the postseason last year, so Coach Gomez he's seen the postseason a little bit. He's got a little bit of the taste of the postseason coming in, and I think he's excited to just try to rebuild this program.
Let's take a look.
We now welcome on new Northbrook Raiders head coach Andres Gomez. And Coach, first question, now that strength and conditioning camps are back, how have you gone about meeting some of these players for the first time?
Well, it's been really great. I was actually introduced on March 12th, which was the last day that school was in session. So I got to see a couple of kids then, and after that it was all Zoom meetings and phone calls and emails, and so getting to see them in person. I've been trying to just be present, be visible, and just be around them, just so they can see that there's a new attitude and a new energy around here, and I think they really responded. They've done a really great job of showing up and getting to the workouts and working hard and just coming together for what we're trying to do.
You're coming to Northbrook fresh off being an assistant at Klein Cain, a team that has been relatively successful in its first two varsity seasons. How do you feel that serving on the staff of Hurricanes head coach James Clancy has prepared you for your new role?
Well, there's actually a lot of similarities to the opening of that school and to this situation right now, because there's a lot of things that like some of the depth issues that Northbrook has had historically, and just some of the, it almost feels like I'm having to build this program from the ground up, just like we did at Klein Cain. So that experience is invaluable in the sense that, I got to kind of really focus, on the true priorities of what being a football coach is all about. We at Klein Cain, we had to, that year we didn't have a varsity team, so we had to focus on, teaching those JV kids fundamentals and teaching them our culture and our values, and that's kind of what we're going to have to do here, especially this first year. There's some talented guys that are on the roster that I'm looking forward to working with, and the biggest thing is to establish a foundation of success and to get a culture of just confidence and knowing that we can and will play with anybody. And so I've seen a lot of corollaries between the two programs, and hopefully I can continue to mirror that success that we established at Klein Cain and bring it over here to Northbrook.
Coach, you mentioned rebuilding the program, and you're inheriting a program that hasn't won a game since 2017. So what do you feel like is the first step in turning this program around?
Getting kids here. I think the numbers and participation has been pretty low, but the kids that are here, I told them in that very first meeting that we had, if you are a senior who has been on 2 0-10 teams and that's all you know, but you're still playing football, then you're a pretty tough kid, and you've dealt with a lot of stuff, and that's an attribute that I can definitely work with. And so I told them, just stick around and be present, and the more kids we can get out, the more of a foundation that we can build, especially working toward the future. And so it's been, we're definitely focusing on little things and little details, and I keep telling them that the more we stack up, if we can get 1% better each day, then we're going to notice some improvements once football gets back going.
As a new coach in 17-6A, what are you expecting, competition-wise from the other squads in this district?
I think that we're definitely looking to make up some ground. I think that we're gonna establish an identity as a football program, and we're gonna try to give people our best shot. And again, going back to my time at Klein Cain, that first year that we had a varsity team, we didn't have any seniors, and we sometimes felt like we were, in a fourth quarter game, we got overmatched, and we usually would get off to a decent start and hang with just about every team, and then the depth and the lack of experience kind of showed up, and that's kind of what I'm expecting a little bit here at Northbrook. I think we're gonna surprise some people with our skill players and our offensive line. I think we right now we got some really good pieces. I think we're gonna surprise people because there are gonna be some changes, from what people expect of Northbrook. But this first year, we may run into some of those depth and just longevity issues. But we're definitely gonna give some teams a run, and we're gonna look to just make up ground and establish ourselves in the district.
Absolutely, Coach. Final question: what do you expect football to look like this coming fall? In the midst of this pandemic.
It's really hard to say right now. I think that it's great that we're able to open up and work out with our kids. I think that's a major step. But the next few weeks will be very telling as far as what our school will look like, and that'll determine athletics. There's I've heard all kinds of conversations about maintaining an online model the way we ended the year, or maybe trying some hybrid model where trying to keep the kids distance from each other, and so you're going to maybe have online, have in-person curriculum, and in those kind of scenarios, it's hard to envision what football or sports would look like. If we're really going to stick to maintaining 6 foot of distance, you can't play a football game that way. You're not going to be able to tackle anybody. You got to maintain 6 feet of distance. So it's gonna depend a lot on just how the next few weeks play out, and what the education model looks like. Obviously we're all optimistic right now. We're hoping that we can get back on the field because we know how much these kids need it. We know how, especially our seniors, seeing what some of the spring sports went through last year, and watching those seniors, have their last high school moments taken away. It's heartbreaking, and so we of course don't want that. But at the same time, we need to take care of ourselves, and we need to make sure that we're doing the right thing. So it's hard to imagine not having football, even though it definitely seems like it could happen. But right now we're just going to take a week at a time and continue to improve ourselves and get stronger, faster, and work on our football stuff, and then we'll wait for the decisions to come out. And when they do, we'll, just like with everything else, we're coaches, so we're built to make adjustments and make some quick decisions that affect everybody. And so we'll do the same thing when that comes down the pike. If we have to adjust, if we have to, play a condensed schedule, whatever we have to do, I know that we'll adjust, and we'll be able to take care of business.
Coach Gomez, we want to thank you for coming onto the show, and we want to wish you the best of luck in 2020.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Let's now talk about the Memorial Mustangs, and let's take a look at their 2019 highlights. Sanders
Rolling right, he will tuck and run. He's very dangerous. Has a first down. He's in for the touchdown. There's a penalty marker down at the very end of the play. What a run from Matthew Sanders.
3 quarters in the books, 1 to go from Tully Stadium. A long haul down to the near sideline or the far sideline. A touchdown strike.
Pistol set, left side, Zahn finds a hole and is in for the touchdown.
Still in that position where they don't want to give up any more points either. And they won't here. Picked off in the end zone. Trying to bring it back out, make something out of this one is Marshall. And he's not going to bring it back out.
Sanders under center. Zahn, plenty of room, and he's in for the score. That was a...
Jensen has the ball, screen pass over to the right, across the 15, and it looked like it was stripped. Memorial's running down the sideline, 45-40, 35-30, 25-20, 15-10, 5, touchdown, Spring Branch Memorial Mustangs.
Gavin, why don't you tell us a little bit more about Memorial?
Well, it was a good year for Memorial last year. They went 7-5 overall, 5-3 in district play. They finished 4th in the district, but they made the playoffs, and they were able to beat Houston Heights in the first round before losing to Katy Taylor in the second round.
Dave, your thoughts on Memorial?
Well, I mean, they got to be excited. I mean, like Gavin said, first playoff appearance since 2014 last year. We're able to get a playoff win for that school, which is a winning season. So in the past 5 or 6 years, they hadn't done much. I don't know a whole lot about their roster, but you have to believe that Coach Garrett Cook is excited about what he has and hopefully can build off a playoff victory. And in my estimation, they'll be right in the mix. According to Adam Coleman, who I talked to the other day, he said they'll be right in the mix for those playoff spots with Stratford and Cy Creek and Jersey Village. So they have to be looking up.
Trevor, what do you think?
Well, not only did they get a playoff win, I mean, getting Katy Taylor in the second round up, Katy Taylor made it all the way to the state semis. That's a tough draw. And, you know, that first playoff appearance in 5 years, that's fantastic looking going into this season. Like Dave said, they're going to be in that mix. I mean, the 2, 3, and 4 spot, it's a 5-team race. I mean, two teams aren't going to get in there. It's going to be tough. But Memorial's going to be in the mix, and maybe they can get a little further if they get the right draw in D2.
That now takes us to the Cy Creek Cougars. Very impressive program. Let's take a look at their 2019 season.
Village trying to get their sums off the field, and they barely do. Hand off to Jefferson, big hole, winding back up the middle, stiff arms at the 15, and a touchdown for Cy Creek.
Wadia gets a jump, free play. He'll heave it down the field. It is going to be tipped and caught inside the 20-15, 10-5, touchdown Cy Creek.
Nothing in the end zone. We'll check that. Now Lawana's going to wind up, fires downfield, and D. Sorrell has it, and he's going to take it all the way. Wow, 92-yard, 3-yard touchdown pass to D. Russell.
Onto a 6-point lead. They hand it to, that is Eddie Jimerson. Huge holes. He has all kinds of room. He's going to take it to the house. 30, 20, 10, 5, touchdown. Eddie Jimerson all the way to the house.
Sanders firing left, and it's intercepted. Touchdown, Cy Creek, no flags.
Wadia in the gun. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Wadia takes a snap, looking to throw. Throws over the middle, pass is complete, wide open to Jaden Gilbert, who will go untouched with a Cy Creek touchdown. Shoemake throws, pass is picked off. And taking it into the end zone is Jerry Spikes for the Cy Creek touchdown. Uwadia in the gun. Low snap, play fake, looking to throw. Goes over the middle. Pass is complete. Across midfield and taking off is the track star, Coogan Diracel, for the touchdown.
Blitz comes from the other side. Wilson stepping up, firing, complete. Grigsby. Here comes Legend. 20, 15, 10, 5. I am Legend. 47 yards if you need them.
2-yard Mayde field goal, and Mayde hammers this kickoff. It's going to be fielded inside the 5 again. They're going to fake a reverse this time, and room to run. Right hash, midfield. One man to beat at the kicker. And he will run through the tackle, and he is in for the score. And that, folks, is how you answer. 96 yards.
On 1st and 10, play fake. Uwadia looking to throw. Fires down the right sideline. It's going to be caught by Diracel. Across the 40, he has one man to beat. He will outrun him into the end zone. Touchdown, Cougars. Second touchdown of the opening quarter for Coach.
Gavin, tell us a little bit more about the Cougars of Cy Creek.
Well, Cy Creek last year, they went 9-5 overall, 6-2 in district play. They finished third in the district and made the playoffs, but forget about the third place finish. They made it all the way to the regional finals before finally falling to Katy Taylor in that game at NRG Stadium.
2 of the teams from this district fell to Katy Taylor in the playoffs. Trevor, I'll start with you, and we'll give Dave Fanucci the last word on Cy Creek. What do you think of Cy Creek?
Well, I liked what I saw from them, especially in the postseason. A game that really stands out to me is when they beat Humble, because Humble only lost 2 games going into the playoffs. Yeah. I think they were the favorite in there, and Cy Creek stunned, I think, a lot of people at Texan Live winning that game, and they really got hot in the playoffs. And even when they played Katy Taylor at NRG, except they got down early. That's really what shot them in the foot. But after that, they composed themselves, and they managed to play Katy Taylor a lot better. It's just, when you're down big to start out a game, it's really hard to come back. But I like what I saw from Cy Creek. They're going to be, you could argue they're the second best team in the district. Again, they're in that mix like with a lot of other schools. But Coach McKeag has built a good program. They are going to have to replace their quarterback, so that's going to be tough. But don't count out the Cougars this year.
Dave, what do you think? I really like this program.
Yeah, I agree. Coach McKeag and Cy Creek historically are always competitive, always tough. The situation this year, though, is going to be slightly different, I believe. They've lost a ton of guys. So starting with the linebacker, all area linebacker Josh White, who's on a full ride to LSU, the area defensive player of the year who anchored that defense. They lost numerous specialty skill player guys on offense, including their quarterback, 2 wide receivers in Grigsby and Diracel. They lost Uwadia to QB. So although the last 2 years, that's what built this run for them these last 2 years. They went deep both years, the last 2 years. They've gone to the regional final at NRG Stadium based on this talented group of kids they had. Now, Coach McKay's going to regroup. He's got the numbers and he's got some players, but not even the same roster anywhere near what they had last year. Now, that being said, they've got a couple of guys coming back that will contribute, but the skill offensive players are all going to be pretty new and maybe, sophomores and juniors that are coming up from the JV. The quarterback situation is still up in the air. That's to be determined. I don't know who they're going to be throwing the ball to other than Brazos Gadler, who's a returning punt return specialist and a slot receiver they had. They do have linebacker Joey Verrett, all-district linebacker, coming back to play, who will anchor in the middle of the defense. But, guys, it's going to be a little bit of a rebuilding situation for Creek. Now, even that being said, they're still going to be in the mix. I don't know that they're a definite second or third place team. I think they're, because of the youth and the guys coming up on this roster, they're going to have to play well to get into that playoff spot. I think Jersey Village, Stratford Memorial, Cy Ridge, like we said, these 5 teams that we consider for the 3 playoff spots, Cy Creek is going to have to play well and have these youngsters contribute quite a bit to get into that postseason.
Gavin, you talked with Greg McKay about all of that, the quarterback situation and the very few starters coming back, but he's pretty excited about this upcoming season.
Yeah, Coach McKay's excited about this coming season, but he knows it's a different team. He knows that they're going to go into a bit of a rebuilding mode with an almost entirely new starting lineup, and he knows that they have to forget about last year, forget about losing to Katy Taylor at NRG if they want to get over the hump in 2020.
Let's take a look at that interview.
We now welcome onto the show Cy Creek Cougars head coach Greg McKay. Coach, first question we've been asking all the other coaches, how have you and your staff handled the start of strength and conditioning camps in the midst of this pandemic?
Well, we've had a ton of guidance by our district administration, and they've done a great job in helping us getting prepared. We spent an inordinate amount of time trying to make sure that our kids are safe and socially distanced. We've come up with a really good plan about getting their good work done, but yet keeping them apart. A lot of it really is boiled down to the mechanics of moving kids around from station to station where they need to be so that we can get good work done and yet keep them apart. It's been an awful lot of work, but so far it's been really productive.
Coach, we'll start by talking about the offense. You guys are losing some big-time talent, including quarterback Julian Uwadia, your wide receivers Kogan D. Russell, Legend Grigsby, your running backs Eddie Jimerson, and then you have Ricky Bennett, and even your kicker Diego Gracia. So how do you guys plan on replacing that offensive firepower from the 2020 class?
Well, it's going to be a challenge. Those guys did a terrific job for us, and I don't know if you ever really replace. You just try to fit in what you've got. We've got right now, as we're working out, we've got 9 options at quarterback. So I got 9 guys that are trying to play the position. So amongst those guys, we'll find a guy that can handle the job. We've got a kid named Khalil Watt, who would probably start, if we had to play today, would probably start for us at the running back. We've got a couple of kids who were on the varsity last year that were backup receivers. A kid named Ryan Wynn would do a good job for us. Cole Hess is back at receiver if he doesn't end up playing quarterback. We've got Brazos Gadler back at our primary slot receiver, and Corey Silverstein back as our primary H-back type person. So it'll be a challenge, but I think we've got some guys that can step up to the task. Legend and Kogan and Julian and Eddie, they've been with us for a long time and did a terrific job. But, that's the challenge of what we do. So, in regards to our skill kids, that'll be tough. But then we'll turn around. We got to replace 4 out of our 5 offensive linemen, too. So it's going to be fun. I think we've got some guys that will step up. We've been pretty successful on our under levels going forward. So it's not like, these guys don't know how to win. It's just, can they adapt to the varsity game as quickly as we ask them to do? And I think they'll do just fine.
Coach, now the defense, your team is graduating talent there as well. Jerry Spikes, Kamari Cloud, Josh White, Daquan Jefferson, Byron Blassingame, and your punter, even Grayson Galding. How will your program go about replacing the key defensive pieces?
Well, again, it's kind of like the offensive side. You try every year to kind of set your team up where you've got depth at every position. Replacing a kid like Jairi or replacing a kid like Josh, one of the best linebackers in the country, is going to be, nigh on to impossible. But we've got some kids that have been working there for the last 2 or 3 years, and I think they'll do a good job. We've got Joey Verrett back, one of our inside linebackers, and he's going to do a fantastic job for us. And we've got some big kids to play the interior. We've got Michael Rivera back playing defensive end for us, and Connor Cook coming off our JV team playing defensive end for us. Those are nice, big, good-looking kids. In the secondary, we've got some JV kids who are going to have to step up, but they're athletic. So it is the natural progression. I think that that senior class that just graduated, they were undefeated as freshmen and then, had terrific career when they're here. But the kids that are following them are going to be good. It's just a matter of keeping the depth where it needs to be and keeping the pipeline filled in. We can't ask them to be anything but the best version of themselves. And I think that they'll do a nice job.
Your team is coming off what most people would call a successful year last year, culminating in a regional final appearance. However, with the way it ended, in the upset loss to Katy Taylor, what needs to happen to get your team over that hump in 2020?
Well, Katy Taylor was really good. We beat them the year before, and it was a tight game, and then they got after us pretty good. We did not handle what they were doing very well. So, you try to study from that, and you try to learn and try to get a little bit better. I think what we have to do, and this is going to sound trite and a little bit cliche-ish, but, can't worry about what happened last year, and we can't worry about getting back to the regional finals. What we have to worry about is our very first game, and so with all the questions that we have to answer, who's going to play quarterback for us? Who's going to be 4 out of those 5 offensive linemen? Who's going to fill in for Josh? Who's going to replace the Jairys of the world? We have enough issues that what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to take it one day at a time, and try to get a little bit better each practice and, try to do a little bit better each game. The way we figure it, especially with all the COVID and nobody having spring training, we've got 2 scrimmages and 3 non-district games to get ready for the district season. And if we can't find a team within 5 or 6 weeks, well, then we've got other issues, that we have to deal with. So I think those kids will step up. We'll do like I think most do, and I think my coaching staff, is we'll find out what our kids do well, and we'll try to maximize that, and we'll try to minimize what they don't do well. We're not going to ask them to be – I'm not going to ask them to be Josh. I'm not going to ask them to be Jairi. I'm going to ask them to be them. And if they do things well, I guarantee you'll see it a lot. If they don't things well, then some of the stuff we did with the other kids, you won't see much at all. I know it sounds kind of rote. You hear that all the time, but literally that's what it is. You have to start every season building it back up one brick at a time.
Coach, final question. What do you expect football to look like in 2020 with all things considered, the scheduling, the fans, and all the other aspects of the game?
Oh, wow. That's a fantastic question. I think that, first of all, let's talk about from the fans' perspective. I think it's very reasonable for us to expect limiting the number of people that are in the stadiums, and how you're going to control a student body is going to be a question in and of itself. Those guys are used to being next to each other and getting kind of rowdy, and we have one of the best student bodies around. So that's going to be an interesting deal. I can see some restrictions, kind of like we did in our graduation where, people and the parents and everybody's got to be spaced out. So that's going to be unique. I think that some of our football issues will be, say we're wanting to meet with our offensive team. Well, it may not be everybody in the same room as we go over things. It may be, much smaller groups. It may be borrowing in from all the Zoom meetings we did over the summer, to where the kids aren't necessarily exposed, because if you had one of those large groups and somebody tested positive for COVID, well, you might lose, 10 kids for 2 weeks, depending on how their recovery goes. So it's going to be different. It's going to be challenging. It's going to be it's going to test our patience, because we all want to get back to doing what we've been doing the way we've always done it, and I don't think that's going to happen. I think the new normal is going to be, practice smart, practice effectively. But you've got it. These are serious times, and you've got to minimize the risk that you expose those kids to. Now, and let's be real frank about things. If we can't touch each other and we can't hit each other, we're not going to be playing football anyway. So I think that what's got to happen is we've got to become comfortable with our responses when kids do test positive. When coaches do test positive, I think it's an inevitability. It becomes almost an algebra question. You get that many kids together, the statistics are just going to build, and you're going to get some positive cases. How do we respond when those positive cases happen? That's going to be the great challenge. But if anybody can do it, I think the Texas high school football coaches can do it.
Coach McKay, we want to thank you for coming on and wish you the best of luck in 2020.
Well, I appreciate it. We're going to enjoy it. We played 28 games over the last 2 years. If you can promise me another 14 games this year, I'll be just happy. That'll be great. And I appreciate you guys having me on and the great job you guys do.
Absolutely. Thank you, Coach.
You bet. You guys take care.
We've covered all the teams. That'll about wrap it up for us. Let's go around the table or room or round table discussion here. Gavin, start with you. Any final thoughts?
I think it'll be a fun district, and I think we've laid out who we think is going to finish where. I think Cy Fair should finish towards the top of this district, followed up by Cy Creek and the Jersey Villages and Cy Ridge and Stratford. And I think it'll be a competitive district outside of that top maybe seed or two, and I'm excited to see how this one plays out.
Trevor?
Well, Gavin's right. I mean, Cy Fair is the clear favorite. They've dominated the district last year. They dominated again this year. I mean, that program, 2017, they won the state championship. 2018, they made a regional finals appearance, losing to North Shore. And then last year, going undefeated into that game against Katy. And obviously the Tigers, we know what kind of program they are. So there's no shame in losing to them. But the 2 through I'd say even like 6th spot. I mean, Springwoods and Northbrook are, I think, clear-cut bottom of the division. But everyone else, you could flip a coin. You could maybe draw straws. You don't really know who's going to come out with that spot. And it'll be fun, like Gavin said, and can't wait to see what happens and who gets into the playoff spots.
Dave, our guests always get the final word. Go ahead.
Yeah, guys, I'm really excited about this district this year. I call a lot of games at Pridgeon for these schools here, and you know what I think is going to be huge is these head-to-head matchups that we're talking about in these schools. Like we've said, Cy-Fair is going to win it outright, and it'll be interesting to see who can hang as close to them as possible in the game they play. Cy-Fair, I mean, on the scoreboard, because you can try to win the scoreboard for the battle in that game, but you're not going to beat Cy-Fair outright. But it'll be interesting to see who might be able to hang with them a little bit. But then in the head-to-head games between Jersey Village, Cy Creek, Cy Ridge, Stratford, and Memorial, those 5 teams for 3 playoff spots, those head-to-head matchups are all going to be huge this year because they're all going to matter, and you're going to want those tiebreakers going into the postseason head-to-head situations. So I think all those 5 teams are very equal and very competitive, and it'll be a great battle to try to get in.
And that'll do it for today's 17-6A preview. Signing off for myself and my partners Gavin Moritz and Trevor Bullard, as well as our guest Dave Fanucci. Dave, thank you so much for coming on. I'm Chase Snyder signing off from the TexanLive.com studios in Humble.